Welcome to Generation Dragons episode 54. Senior Steve.
Mr. Clint.
How are you?
Revenge of the Fifth.
Revenge of the Fifth. Dink, dink.
So
had to wear my unsung hero t-shirt, the Star Wars Rogue One, probably one of the best Star Wars movies of the recent years. Actually, probably the best Star Wars movie of the recent years, but
of the recent years, yeah. I liked Rogue One a lot. It's the first movie that it wasn't all happy in the end. People died.
Everyone knew the ending. So anywho, Steve, before we jump into all of this, I'm finally caught up on Halo, except for today's episode, because today is Thursday of our recording, so I have to watch that. Holy crap, what's going on in that show?
Right.
And then finished Horizon, so that was excellent. They definitely left it open for DLC and or sequels, so that was sweet. Highly recommended. And then how about you, man? What's up? What's going on with you? Oh, and I have tickets to go see Doctor Strange tomorrow as well.
Nice.
In 4DX, so my seat's gonna shake. Things are gonna come at me.
That's gonna be awesome, and I could make a joke there, but I haven't had enough to drink yet to do it. So up with me, the same old mostly. I went and saw Brian Cox's I guess Display of the Universe, like he talked about that. So I listened to Professor Brian Cox at the Little Theater in the PN here, and then had a pickup. I left it over there, but I ended up grabbing Bulkhead Legacy. I pre-ordered it a while ago, and he came in. So nice. Legacy Voyager class Bulkhead, he's pretty awesome.
Sweet.
And some just my comic pickups. Other than that, not much. Lots of yard work and spring stuff getting done, so it's taken away from some of my stuff, but that's common this time of year.
That's true. This is true. I mean, I can't say I've been doing too much outdoor work, but that's a coming. That's a coming.
The stick guy I got here, the pink guy. Well, it's not pink guy. It's something. But I'm pretty sure when I was using the leaf blower, I blew up some crap on the weekend in my eye, and then it just turned red.
I was thinking you were puking too hard, and you just bursting the blood vessel.
No, I was on.
I mean, I've done that a few times, so I could speak from experience.
I haven't had anything like this.
Anywho,
I was young and getting popped in the eye or something, a little scrap or something. But anyway, we're here to talk about our best handhelds. Really, it's just about handhelds and what we thought of them. So handheld consoles.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, well, that's it, right? We've talked about a lot of things. We've been doing a lot of top fives, top tens, things we like, things and all that stuff. So why not talk about consoles? I mean, Steve, you are probably going to have a lot more experience in most of these, more so than I, especially the older stuff. But one big one for me, and I'll kick it off, is the Game Gear.
If you were colorblind and had an IQ less than 12, then you wouldn't care which portable you had. Of course, you wouldn't care if you drank from the toilet either. Game Gear.
The Game Gear was probably one of the first handhelds, probably the first handheld I played. And I didn't own it. I had it at my cousin's. My cousins had it, and we'd go over, we'd plug it in, throw in, because who could afford 6 effing AA batteries back then?
Yep.
Who could afford 6 AA batteries now, let alone in the early 90s? But anyways, plug it in and then just throw it on and see all that great colored greatness. And I'd be like, haha, Game Boy, you suck with your green screen.
Right.
But I mean, and the games, it was great to see them pulling down some of the console games and putting them on handhelds. It's great to play Sonic on a handheld like that. And it wasn't far off from the Genesis games. Like Sonic 2, you play Sonic 2 on a Game Gear and go play Sonic 2 on the Genesis. It wasn't, I mean, obviously there is a difference, but it wasn't crazy, right? And it was impressive at the time. Sega being Sega, probably they screwed it up like they always do on things like the Saturn and Dreamcast and a few others, and I think one that's going to be on the list that you can talk to more. But yeah, what about you? What was your experience with the Game Gear, Steve?
Oh, Game Gear saved my marriage, I would say at one point. And so I have a good chunk of handheld consoles, and you know that. But Game Gear was really good to me because I would bring it in the car driving back home from the in-laws after dinner. We usually have drinks, so she'd drive home. My wife isn't much of a drinker, but I did the fake brake and go like this if I thought she had to go faster. So it was a horrible front seat driver.
Yeah.
Next to her. So I discovered if I just grabbed my Game Gear, threw on the TV adapter back in the day, tuned in the football game or The Simpsons, I'd just watch that while she drove home, and I had an adapter for the car, so I didn't have to worry about batteries. And I just watched that, go home, and it kept me away from her. Plus, once in a while I'd pop in Sonic or something like that. And,
right.
But that the Game Gear saved the marriage, I'd say, a long time ago. But the batteries, you're right, man. It ate those things. But anything did back then. So I've been thinking about modding some of my handhelds, like the Jaguar, the Game Gear, the Nomad, simply because the new LEDs, LCD screens, are far more power consuming. So,
dude, I've got 3 Game Gears, 2 of them that kind of work, and one that still works decently well, but I have to recap it. So if we want to mod, I've got them here. Even I've got a couple of Dreamcasts that we can mod and a couple of NESs that we could mod, and we won't speak about
$26.
We won't speak about modding an Xbox because we tried. And
I've modded one over there. That was the first one that failed. I still have the vid. I should put it up and make it fast.
Yeah. On to you, Steve. On to you.
All right, so I'm going to go on to my favorite handheld console, and then we'll go down the list from there. But it's got to be the Sega Nomad. I love that thing. It's basically a Genesis that's portable because it plays Genesis games, has a TV hookup, it has a controller port, so you can pay two players, hook it up to the TV. It was perfect. I had the same problems the Game Gear did, though. It ate batteries like crazy. You'd get a couple hours out of it, really. But it was a little portable Genesis. And I didn't buy that back in the day. I couldn't afford it or couldn't find it, whatever, back then. Didn't have an interest, I don't remember. But I picked up a few years later. It was probably early 2000s when I picked up the Nomad, but I already had a great Genesis collection, and just went back on eBay. This is way before Amazon was as big as it is, and not that you can find it there anyway. And I think I paid like $78 for the Nomad, because it was back in the day before everything started skyrocketing in price.
Well, so you right. The only experience I've ever had with the Nomad is yours, and I think I remember looking for it after I played your Nomad, and I was like, well, on eBay it was like $150, but to go look at it now, it's like
$300 or more.
It's more than 300 now. It's like $500 or $600.
I got it in the right time.
100%. Hey, that's early 2000s was the time to collect video games. I'm not gonna lie. That's when all the prime prices where people are getting rid of their stuff to buy the new.
Yeah, no one saw the value in it then. They just wanted to move up, and then now there's all this nostalgia back and wanting it, and people just, well, I wouldn't say they're gouging. They're selling what the market's demanding, right? So
yeah.
So what about you? Sure. Next,
next one here, I got to give it to the Game Boy Advance. Another kind
Which
of
one? Clamshell, the regular one without the light.
All of them.
Game Boy SP,
but most
Advance SP.
Yeah, I played the SP mostly. I did play the Game Boy Advance, and then when the SP came out, I did the upgrade. But
I did love my micro, by the way.
I should have bought the micro. I still remember it.
I just put it in my little pocket.
I still remember the collector's version of it. Whatever it was.
That's when we first met.
20th anniversary or something like that. And I was like, I can't do $150 on the Game Boy. I already have one. I don't really need one. Well, I am fucking regretting that now, because they go for like $900 to $1,000. And if they're in box, they go for like $15,000. It's stupid.
Jesus.
Like,
so I got mine as a gift.
I don't think it's 15, but yeah.
It was a manager gift from Nintendo back in the day. And mine is all silver, right? Because it had the faceplates that come out. Yeah. And mine was like silver around it with a black, or it could have camo. And I hated it. And someone else bought something different, and they didn't like the silver, and I just swapped. So that's why mine's all silver. But that little sucker, I washed and dried that thing, and it still works perfectly fine. Like it's great.
That's the one thing I'll give Nintendo on their handhelds. They know how to make them. Yeah, I mean, for me, for Game Boy, the Advance was always, the games themselves are great. There's amazing library for the Game Boy Advance. Golden Sun, never saw it again anywhere else. I mean, it was on the DS, but you had a heyday on the Game Boy. It had the e-reader, which was cool at the time, right?
I forgot about cards. That. I still have that too.
Yeah, I've got it, and I've only got one card for it. It's for Super Mario 3. When they did the remakes on there, the links, the link cables that it was doing the dual screen on the GameCube, right? You had your Tingle map on your Game Boy Advance while you're playing Wind Waker, right? Like just stuff like that.
It was neat. I actually, speaking of Game Boys, I sent you the pic. It was probably 3 months ago,
right.
But I had the two girls when I set up the shelf for my handhelds. I keep looking up here like you can see it. They wanted to play the old Game Boys, so I got two of them out and linked them together, and they were playing Tetris against each other.
Yeah, nice.
So that was kind of cool. It brought back a lot of good memories. The big game I played on original Game Boy like that was F1.
New F1 race for Game Boy. Up to 4 guys can play each other at the same time. Whoa, make a crash!
Me and my buddies had the 4 score type thing. Yeah. And we all played that. So it was a lot of fun back in the day. It was way ahead of its time, I thought. But I'm going to bring one up, and you probably disagree. It's a handheld because it's not really, but it is sort of portable, but the Virtual Boy. So because you could take batteries and use it, right? Or you plug it in. True. And so I got mine when I first started working at EB Games.
Right.
So, somebody brought it in, and it was a $0 trade. So they're like, well, what am I going to do with it? So I went outside and talked to him, bought it for whatever, for like $50 or something. And yeah, I loved it. The only problem with it actually has a scratch in one of the lenses. So you don't notice it when you're in the heat of it, but when you first put it on, you're like, what the hell? Do I have to clean that or whatever?
Yeah.
But yeah, I got my own personal little headache machine a little while back then, and still have it.
And that was the end. That's the end of the start of the end, right, Steve? It's the start of the end. When he started to go blind.
Right. Oh, wrong eye. But yeah. So anyway, you go with the next one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the next one, I guess I'm going to stick with Nintendo here and go with that Game Boy. And I'm going to put Game Boy Color in it because those two were, for me, it was kind of interchangeable because I had the Game Boy Pocket. I didn't have the OG Game Boy. But it brought my love of Pokemon. That's what I played. That's really all I remember playing on the Game Boy. I mean, obviously, like I played Tetris and stuff like that, but I really only remember playing Pokemon on Game Boy. And well, you've seen my house, Steve. You've seen my basement. You've seen everything that I have that's Pokemon. And like, I went to one of the very few Pokemon cafes in the world when I was in Japan.
That's pretty awesome. I remember the pictures.
I had to go, right? So going to the Pokemon, so that's a big influential one.
I mean, you've always been a fan of playing in your pocket, so
yeah, I like playing in pockets. Yeah. But, what about you, man? What about you?
I just want to make a note with Game Boy Color. When I was first dating my wife, back in the lovey-dovey stage, not in the beginning as much as I wanted. It took a while to break that, but I remember being on the phone. We got into those things where you talk on the phone to like 2 a.m. about nothing. It's all But I remember it was getting to the point where I was starting to get bored, and I reached into my night table drawer because I was in bed. She was at her house in bed. And I take out my Game Boy Color and turn it on. And I think I had Tetris in it, actually. And when you turn on a Game Boy, it goes, ba-ding! Yeah. So not assuming she would understand it or even hear it.
Right.
She goes, so I turn it on and goes, ba-ding! She goes, what was that noise? And I'm like, I had an idea. Because she just burst out laughing. I know what that is. That's a Game Boy. I'm like, shit, I'm caught. At least she found it was funny because she recognized it right away.
That's good.
But yeah, I guess going on to the next one for me, probably say the Atari Links.
On some Atari Links games, you can link up 4 players. But there's only ever one winner. Atari Links, the portable video arcade.
You know,
Right.
love that little handheld. It's weird as weird ass design that you can flip upside down, use different directions depending on the game. Gauntlet's a perfect example of that. But there's also a 4-player game. You can play with 4 people. You had cables, and you had another 3 Atari Links. But it was the first colored handheld. Came out right around the same time as the Game Gear, just before, same as it came out as the Turbo Express and all that. But they all suffered the same problem: battery power. They just it wasn't economical. It wasn't worth it. You know, the Game Boy lasted for hours and hours, and then these things died in 2 hours.
Well, that's and that and I think I mean Atari was also already out. You know, they were the killer of the video game industry in the 80s too. So I'm sure that was probably
one thing I'd say more with the killer of the industry. Yes, all the garbage that they put out, but it was really only North America that felt that. I don't think the UK and Japan had the same impact with the crash. But I mean, that's a story.
Only because
that's a talk for another day. But
that's also because you're right. We'll keep that for another day. And it's cool, but it really came down to it, right? So you said Game Boy, because it was just the standard LCD screens at the time with the green, 2-color
monochrome
gray
color.
tone, and then it didn't eat batteries, and it was 4 batteries in the Game Boy, and then it lasted.
Game Boy Color and Pocket took 2.
Yeah, it was 5 hours, or no, Game Boy was at 10 hours or something like that on the batteries,
it was I never worried about changing the batteries if I took it away on a weekend. I'd be playing Mario Land, and then switch to Zelda. I'd come back to Tetris when I was bored. I used to play football on my Game Boy a lot. I don't even remember what the game was called, what football game it was at this point, but yeah. So I love that little system.
With the Links, it's it's like you said, the batteries, and then they just didn't have the same game quality, right? And I would connect that with the Turbo as well, because it's the same thing. It didn't have the same game level, especially in North America. I mean, Japan might have been completely different, because I know PC Engine was
love that sucker. That's something I don't have. I always wanted. I have a TurboGrafx-16. I'm talking about the Turbo Express.
Yeah. Because if I recall, it was the Turbo Express that you can play TurboGrafx-16
games.
It's
the same games.
Yeah,
same games, and it had a TV adapter. And so a buddy of mine had it, and I was so jealous. I searched and hunted for that thing, but it was way out of price range. There was back then. You just go to the store and buy it.
Okay.
But it was just, I don't remember what the cost was, but I'm going to say it was $200-$300. And, in grade 7 or 8, that was that's not happening anytime soon.
But
I want to say it was grade 7. Yeah. Anyway, I was the Turbo Express blew me away. The fact that it could play the same console games, very much like the Nomad could do. It's just that's awesome. I don't have to buy 2 sets of games. I can literally just take it and go. So
talking about taking and going. I know where
you're going.
The Nintendo Switch. What a beast of a machine. And I don't mean it as powerful, but holy crap, Nintendo has has found its resurgence after the Wii U.
The Wii,
the Switch. Yeah, right. The Wii U sold 12 million. Wii U sold 12 million. I think last time I heard about the Switch, they're up in 120 million, so 10 times the amount of Wii U's. But it's great because you get to play all the greatness of a Nintendo games on it. You can play it on the go, you can play it in bed, you can play it on your TV. I love my Switch. It's my go-to system.
And so for me, it's not my go-to system. I'll go to, if I'm doing handheld nowadays, I tend to go to Xbox Cloud Gaming. I don't do a lot of handhelds that much anymore because I'm always home. Right? Literally, if I'm playing something like that, it's because I know I'm making dinner or something, and it's stuff that I have to wait in between. So I'll
Yeah.
start something and then but yeah, I'm loving the cloud gaming service for the most part. I do find it laggy still in a lot of instances and whatnot, but there's back to what were we just talking about? The thing you
Switch.
mentioned. The Switch.
The Switch. Yeah.
The Switch. I lost. Oh yeah, no, the Wii U. So I remember, I have a Wii U shirt.
Right.
So I was wearing it out one day, and somebody, it was actually my brother-in-law's neighbor, he's come over to say hi or whatever, and he looks at my shirt and he does this. Well, that's a statement. like, yeah, I guess it is. I'm sporting a Wii U. Come on.
I mean, half of my Switch libraries is Wii U are Wii U games that I had already purchased on Wii U. But hey,
that's the one thing with Nintendo I hate is all the double purchasing of everything. And I still do it.
Yeah, well, I can't blame them because they get me every time. They get me every time.
Right. I already have it on this system, but I need it on this system.
Well, it's kind of like the talking about the Switch Online and expansion pack. The expansion pack being the N64 games and the Genesis games, right? And I'm like, okay, so how many times have I bought Sonic?
Right?
So I've got Sonic on the Master System, Sonic on the Game Gear, Sonic on the Genesis. I have Sonic on my 360. I have Sonic on my Xbox One. I have Sonic on all the same Sonics. I just bought Sonic Origins for my Series X. Like, Sonic.
So Nintendo left a bad taste in my mouth back in the day with this is not handheld, but with the Nintendo Wii. So my Wii broke. I called Nintendo support, and I just assumed, I never looked into it back then, that Nintendo just uses an account, so all my games would be fine. Because I bought a ton in the Virtual Console.
Right.
Nope, it's locked to your console. So I would have to send it to them to fix the drive, and then pay for it, and then get my console back. And it was cheaper at that time, because Wii was getting out of its life, to just go and buy a new Wii. But I would lose all my games. And so I got pissed with that, and I ended up buying a new Wii, but I took my old console and modded it because I think I traded in the broken one as broken. I don't remember what the deal was, but I traded in and picked up a Wii, modded it, and put all the games back. Wouldn't have done that if they'd let me transfer my stuff. Now they do it, but back then they didn't.
Okay.
Anyway, that's off topic because we're talking about handhelds. I'm gonna look up here. Oh, I got a good one that everyone shits on and hates.
What's that?
The N-Gage.
Oh yeah, the N-Gage.
Yep. So I have two different models, ton of games. And I know I've told the story before on the show about it, but it is absolutely garbage to play on and use. It was horrible as a cell phone and it was horrible as a handheld. Like, it just did not do it well. You had to take the thing freaking apart to change games. Like, turn it off, pull the battery out, put your game in, battery back, seal it back up. I'm like, what the hell is this bullshit? And then using it as a phone, it's like holding a football on the side of your head. And both models, I'm looking at them right now. The newer one is quite a bit smaller, but what were you thinking? And the screen is vertical.
Yeah, that's right, eh?
Yeah, it's like not widescreen, it's tall screen. And I'm like, what? It's like a narrow vision of the world. So, N-Gage, complete failure, I think, in design. I love the idea, but if they did it more like the PSP Go, I think it would have been a lot better of a phone. But phone technology just changes too fast. So your N-Gage, your PSP Go, the phones are just done in a year or two, and then you have this handheld you're never going to use again.
Oh my goodness, Steve, you reminded me. So PSP Go was the PSP Go, but they also had a PlayStation branded cell phone
Xperia,
back in the day too.
Xperia console.
Xperia. Yeah, Xperia Mobile, but it was like
I wanted that thing back in the day, but
but that was
I
a
never
PS3 era. Yeah. Well, talking about Sony, the PSP, man. I jumped on the PSP as soon as I could. Loved the machine. The UMDs, the memory cards, Sony and their damn proprietary fucking technology.
They keep doing that. And I love Sony devices and things, and even going way back to Betamax. They're way better than VHS, but for God's sake, Sony, why do you always go proprietary?
Yeah.
Anyway,
so that was the big kicker, right? But there's a lot of games that I was introduced to, or like just to play. It was the handheld that you could have the PS2 going into PS3 experience on the go, right? Like Sly Cooper, God of War, Killzone.
Oh, I really like
Killzone.
Loco. That game's
like there's.
But anyway, that was a different video.
Yeah, check us out. Check that out. The last video. But yeah, there's so many games that I loved on the PSP, and it was unfortunate that it died as early as it did. And then they introduced the PSP Go, but that was too early because it was only digital at the time, right? And people were still up in the air about buying only digital games, and that kind of screwed them. But it is what it is. Mm-hmm. What about you, Steve?
So I'm going to mention
grabbing another beer. I'll do 2 seconds.
Yeah, you'll hear me. So I'm going to mention my most special handheld. It means the most to me. It's not my favorite, but it's right up there. But it was a gift for me right after I went through some medical issues and I was in recovery. And that would be the 3DS XL Zelda edition. So, and it came with Zelda on it, which was what version? Link to the Past, Two Worlds. That's it.
Between Worlds. Yeah.
And I played and finished that game on it. I really am more of a fan of a physical copy of the game because it came pre-installed on it, so It's digital. But the game was awesome. The system is awesome. It's gold. It has Triforce on it, and that's probably my most special handheld that I own.
Nice. Just FYI, don't tell your wife. Don't let your wife listen to this section, but that goes for a lot of money nowadays.
Yeah,
don't worry. I looked up mine, the one that I have up in the office behind me. It goes for like $800, and I'm like, oh. I told Kathy, she's like, okay, you really need to catalog everything and everyone it's valued at. I'm like,
I know we really need to up our content insurance. I think. All we need is some malicious actor listening to us and talk about this episode, and our house is going to get broken into and robbed.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I hear you. Because I remember, for the 3DS for me was, just the experience, 3D with no glasses. It was awesome. However, the release was just brutal. When it first came out,
it was released brutal. I don't remember.
They had no games. It was like Street Fighter 3, like
the
15th edition of Street Fighter, Pilot Wings. There was Ocarina of Time, but Ocarina of Time didn't come out right away. It came out a couple months later. They had all the AR games. They had Steel Diver. The lineup was really weak, but eventually the 3DS was turned out to be an excellent machine, backwards compatible with the DS games, so which was awesome.
I know that was really good. And no, it doesn't do Advance. I'm thinking of the
DS was the Advance,
and DS Lite.
And well, that's it. So like for me, it was I loved the 3DS. I remember getting it. I think it was 2011. Kathy and I were living at her parents' place when I got it. I remember setting it up, like sitting at her desk, setting it all up, playing with the AR, doing the 3D. And it had Street Pass, man. Street Pass was a really cool.
I forgot about that because I remember like picking you up when I came by your house, and so exactly. Oh, you showed up on my 3DS.
Yeah. It used them to play the games that pre-installed. Like, it's just technology, a tool. I wish it was kind of still continued into the Switch and stuff like that. But hey, it is what it is. Yeah, man.
You just gave me an idea
talking
for a video
about.
later on. Anyway, I'll talk about that later.
For me, the next one would be a PS Vita. I love the Vita. Again, talking
Vita's
about
awesome.
The off-screen experience.
God dang, it was my first PS4 second controller.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
I didn't have a second controller in the beginning. So I'm like, here, you get the Vita. It's good. And I'll use the PS4 controller. It's like giving somebody your Mad Catz controller when they come over.
Just no turbo. Don't use the turbo.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, exactly. So like it was tied in with the PS3. You could do remote play on the PS3. You could do remote play on the PS4.
Yeah.
The games themselves were good.
I still have mine hooked up and set up, and I turn it on once in a while. I know you use yours much more often than I, but I think it's that good. Like it looks awesome. It looks good. It's
mine's sitting upstairs in my office, right under my monitor, and I'll just pick it up once in a while, just jam around a PlayStation All-Star battle or whatever. Right?
So I mean, supported it. Like, is support still there for it?
Like games wise, or
no? Are there
Sony?
updates still coming from Sony? I don't remember.
There was like one or two kind of recent. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm going to be turning it on right after our chat here, because now it's all in my head. Like, I gotta make sure it works.
Well, so the games themselves. Like, right, I remember playing Killzone. I loved the Uncharted version of the game that was on there. I mean, it was Uncharted.
Game bad. I never got it. That game.
No, really Golden Abyss. No, yeah, it was great. I
think the memory cards for it was what killed it when it first came out. Yeah, they were so expensive back then.
God damn, Sony! They couldn't have just used
like a 2, a 4, a 16, a 32. Like, it was small.
But they were like, the 32 gig was like $150. Like, it was.
I remember. Like, I made sure I picked up the system, but I couldn't afford a memory card at the time.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I gotta get the system while I can. So that was the first thing, and then I was like, I'll buy the memory later. And of course I did, but never the size I needed because of the price of memory back then.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then they didn't use, again with Sony and their proprietary stuff, they didn't use micro SDs. So like,
well, they used Duo or something, if I remember.
The Duo was PSPs.
Okay.
The Vitas were still their own little, like, it was like, should have been micro SDs, but they weren't.
Oh yeah, now I remember.
They were like Vita branded.
Can you still buy them anymore?
You can, but they're stupid expensive again. So they're still stupid expensive.
So they did the other way, right? When they started getting cheaper, and now they're hard to find.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right, man. What else do we got? We're almost probably getting close to done here, but you probably could talk about this one better. I never actually tried it or played it, but the NeoGeo Pocket.
Oh, I actually never even played it.
I just assumed. I thought you had. No, that's one system I wanted, but didn't want enough to pursue.
Well, that's the thing, right? And I'm in that same boat. I only played the games, we won't say illegally, but illegally. But that's
borrowed.
It, right? Like, I borrowed them, but I've never played the system, so I don't know what the system itself is like. But again,
I've actually played the system. I tried it, but
it was expensive, like you said. It was ridiculously priced, right? So
it was actually a customer when I was at EB that brought it in and showed it to me, and so I only played it like just for minutes to check it out.
Yeah,
and I'm like, God, I gotta get one of these, and that was about the extent of my interest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I never played it. If anyone's played it that's watching us or listening to us, let us know how it was. Do you miss it? Do you wish it was still around?
I got one to add here that no one has played. Gizmondo.
Yeah, Gizmondo. You have to remind me. The name is so familiar, but I just
early 2000s. It's I think it was a Swedish company, if I want to say. If you just type in Gizmondo Swedish Mafia, I think it'll come up, because I think it was funded by the Mafia or something like that. I'd have to read the story again. It's been so long, but it's this weird ass looking device that it was a handheld, and that's really all I remember of it, because I never played it. It didn't do well, didn't take off, but I do remember Mafia was attached to the Gizmondo.
Yeah.
I don't know why it failed. Like, it might have fallen through because of legal stuff or something like that.
Yeah.
But I literally just don't remember. I just remember like those key points. Gizmondo, Swedish or Finland. Maybe it was Finnish. I might even be getting the country wrong. But Mafia. I do remember Mafia.
Okay. It wasn't the Swedish House Mafia that sponsored it, right?
Oh, it could have been.
That's a techno band, a techno group.
What else? I think besides the old-fashioned handhelds, we're just about done. But Tiger Electronics.
You say you want to be a street fighter. You're no street fighter. Not until you of the Street Fighter II handheld game. 100 hand slaps and rolling attacks, fireballs and hurricane kicks are your weapons. Beat 3 in a row. Zangi, Honda, Blanca, then we'll talk. Street Fighter II handheld game. New from Tiger. Batteries not included.
Which I have one of them up here. Street Fighter on the Tiger Electronics. I think I
only remember playing like soccer or baseball or something like that on the Tigers. I have a picture of myself as a little wee boy wearing rubber boots sitting on the steps at my parents' place playing this big ass fucking black thing. That it wasn't an Atari or like that. It was like a Tiger Electronic.
One of those LED type of games.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was like football or soccer, like you're talking about.
It might have been a football or a hockey game or something like that. But
I had a tape-driven game. It was a racing game with a steering wheel. It had neutral, forward, reverse, and it had 2 strips of tape with cars, and the wheel controlled your car. And it had an actual physical counter for how many laps you did. And if you hit one of the cars, it'd be like re with a red light flashing. You have to reset, start driving again.
I remember, man.
When I was playing, I remember if I could put it right in the middle, it didn't detect the cars going by, and I could just drive nonstop. And then I lost interest in it because it was not challenging anymore, and because I couldn't go back to playing it like I'm supposed to because I knew I could do that.
You just had to cheat. You just had to cheat the game, eh, Steve? You just had to cheat the game. And then Game and Watch.
That's to talk about one time too. Cheats.
Game and Watch. So I never played Game and Watches back in the day because they are old as F.
So I did. I never owned one. And I don't remember what I was playing, but I know I talked about this on another show. There was an old friend of mine. I remember his name, Jason Lee, and more of acquaintance than a friend. Like we had our times, but he had all of its new tech all the time. He's the first one that had Nintendo, and I played pro wrestling on, and I actually think it was a Famicom. Like it came back from Japan and stuff, but he had all that stuff. And whatever his dad did for a business, he traveled there all the time, and I was always blown away by the tech and stuff he had. Yeah, and then I'd be like, why are you living in low income if your dad is doing all this stuff and bringing all this stuff? Because we're all living in the projects here.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. Well, how else are you going to be able to afford all the expensive electronics and get them back?
And then not be able to afford a house.
Yeah. Good, sir. Well, that was great chatting with you today, Steve.
Yes, sir.
There's obviously some handhelds we've missed, or something like the Super Game Boy or the Game Boy Player on the GameCube that we didn't talk about, but they just played handheld games anyways, just on your TV. So Sega was doing it before Nintendo. Just remember that, everybody. Sega.
Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah, exactly, Steve. Exactly. Good, sir. Anyways, as everybody, I don't know where I'm going with this, but thank you for listening or watching. If you haven't, click like and subscribe to the video or our other videos. Leave a comment. If there's other handhelds that you can think of that we're missing, throw it up there on the comments and let us know. Appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. May the 5th, Revenge of the 5th. May the 4th be with you.
I keep doing that too.
And enjoy the rest of your week. Steve?
As always, keep collecting.
Keep gaming.
And
keep safe.
I ran out of air.